It continues. Best thing I saw today, a remarkable scene outside Lambeau Field. Hundreds of thousands of folks there. And when the Packers made their pick, the 23rd pick, their CEO, Mark Murphy, announced the selection, and he threaded the needle and got it just right.
For the first time since 2002, draft a wide receiver. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas.
Green Bay, it's time, baby. Hey, I'm finna bring that energy, man. I'm glad to be here. It's a blessing. Hey, let me get a Green Bay 3. 1, 2, 3.
He'll figure out if it's go, Pack, go.
Yeah.
That's fine. He's new. He just got there. He's going to get a chance to stay for a while. The first wide receiver drafted in the first round in more than 20 years. The speedster out of Houston and then Texas. We welcome you back. SportsCenter continues. Plenty more draft coverage coming, including Louis Riddick, Field Yates, and his best available. My thoughts on draft grades. Steve, you ready for that?
Yeah.
But first, some more context on this night. Among the top storylines from the first round, the incredible journeys for both Cam Ward and Travis Hunter, considering both began their college careers below the FBS level. It's the first time since the FBS-FCS split. The top two picks in the draft both had non-FBS playing experience. We saw a couple of tight ends go in the first 15 picks. That makes Stanford Steve happy. Colston Loveland by way of Michigan at 10 to the Bears. Tyler Warren by way of Penn State at 14 to the Colts. First time two tight ends went in the top 15 since 1992. And still available on the draft board, Shedeur Sanders, Mel Kiper Jr.'s first mock back in January. He was projected to go third overall when ESPN Bet opened the market. In the being picked in the top of the draft, and now he is still available. Louis Riddick joins us now, and Louis, you get to be in the middle of that amazing scene. I love that Murphy announcement of that pick was really well done. Those folks waited all day, and they hear a wide receiver called. That was a cool moment. I'm interested just in the totality of the draft, and what was a surprise to you, something that you just didn't see coming?
Yeah, I'll start with the surprise. There's really two things. You know, I think at 19 when Tampa was on the clock, many people thought that this was going to be a defensive pick all the way for Todd Bowles because they needed to fortify the defense. But then they wind up trading that wonderful wide receiver from Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, 19th overall. And I think that surprised me a little bit. And I think it surprised me because it probably tells you a little bit of something about maybe what's going on with Chris Godwin, who suffered that, horrific lower leg injury this year for Tampa Bay. And what does that mean for him next year? Is there something going on in that situation? Mike Evans is getting a little older now, too, at 31 years old. So I think that one kind of caught everyone off guard as far as that's concerned. But Egbuka is a fantastic receiver. And as a matter of fact, Scott, he's very similar to Chris Godwin in the fact that he works in the slot primarily, and he's tough as heck, and he's fast, and he catches the ball in contested environments all the time. But you can move him outside. The other one that surprised me, I think surprised us all, was right off the top with Cleveland trading out of number 2 back to 5, and Jacksonville coming up and saying, hey, look, you know what? We're not coming up to get a quarterback. Obviously, we have Trevor Lawrence. We're coming up to get maybe one of the best athletes walking the face of the earth in Travis Hunter, and we're going to pay a king's ransom in order to get him because we think we're getting 2 players for the price of 1. I think that shocked me. Not because I'm shocked that people feel this way about Travis Hunter, but because a first-time GM decides to say, hey, look, I'm going to announce my arrival in Jacksonville with a splash. I'm going to go get the best player in this draft, regardless of position, and I know Cam Ward went first, and I'm going to pay whatever it takes to get him. And now Travis Hunter gets to go back near home down there in Florida and put his wonderful talents on display. How cool is that? How cool is that as a first-time GM to say, I'm coming out of the box, guns a-blazing, and I'm going getting the baddest cat in this draft? And I think that set the tone, and that will set the tone for the next 2 days.
I'll ask you the same thing that I asked Herbie and Nick Saban, a pick that is a fit organizationally, player, opportunity-wise that you really, really love. I understand this is a night where we typically fall in love with these picks, right? And no one's going to sit here and say, yeah, I think this guy stinks and he's going to be awful. We're not in the business of that. but it's something that you really believe is going to be something years from now we're going to say, they really nailed it.
Yeah, there's quite honestly, there's a couple of them. But you know what? I'll go with this one simply because I believe in the kid so much. And I think he fits exactly what the head coach wants. And that's Ashton Jeanty in Vegas with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, look, we know what he wants. He wants to run the football. He wants to bludgeon you with the run game. He wants to play that physical in-your-face style. Chip Kelly is one of the most forward-thinking offensive coordinators in all of football, regardless of level. And they have got the guy who I believe, if they can build out this offensive line, can break records in the NFL. I said if he went to the right team coming out of the box that had a strong offensive line, that he would challenge, if not break, Eric Dickerson's rookie rushing record.
Yep.
I really think he's capable of doing that. Look, Ashton, and we talked about it.
Yeah, you're on the show.
Ashton's different.
Yeah. Yep.
That's right. He's different, and I love the match out there in Las Vegas. This offensive line's a little bit hindered. It's a little bit limited right now. I don't know what they'll be able to get done. John Spytek, the new general manager out there who came from Tampa Bay, it'll be interesting to see what he can get done between now and September to see if he can put a group of 5 in front of this young man to let him do something special, because Ashton is special, and he's with the coach that will allow him to be even more special.
Well, we always have to remind ourselves at the end of this night, right? This draft's not done. It's just the first night of the draft, and it's another couple of days, and we got a bunch more rounds. And then there'll be a ton of players that offer significant contributions who don't even hear their name called at all through the undrafted free agent route. That often is how a lot of significant spots get filled. Lewis, I appreciate your time. Look forward to watching the rest of the weekend. Always appreciate you making time at the end of a long evening.
Of course, man. Thank you.
All right. Louis Riddick steps aside. You see the best available per field Yates. Will Johnson, a talented playmaker at Michigan. Questions maybe. I saw Adam Schefter tweeting about potential injuries there. Edge rusher for Marshall, Mike Green. Of course, we know Shedeur Sanders is out there as well. And on down the list, a number of impact makers on the defensive side. And Field Yates joins us now. I just listed the best available. I'll start with Shedeur just because that was such a talking point. What's the sense of the market that there will be for him, and do you think he'll have to wait a while to hear his name called on Friday as he did on Thursday?
Yeah, Scotty, I thought that there was a real chance we heard Shedeur Sanders' name called at the end of the first round tonight, perhaps in a trade like the Giants executed with the Rams to move up and get Jackson Dart. That did not take place, and as our researcher Evan Kaplan has noted, over the past 3 drafts, there's been a total of one quarterback taken in the second round. So I'd love to sit here and tell you that the floor for Shedeur Sanders now is pick number 40, where the New Orleans Saints next pick. And of course, the Browns have 2 of the first 4 picks for Friday night. But I can't sit here and say that with absolute certainty right now. It is the most compelling storyline going into night 2. He needs to find a dance partner, but as we have learned throughout this process, each team has a different stack on these quarterbacks, and just because me or Merrill Lewis might perceive Shedeur Sanders to be ranked as the 16th or the 20th or the 3rd best player in the entire draft, there's only a finite number of quarterback buyers right now, and it's clear the league did not have the same level of opinion.
Is there any sort of intel on what would have allowed that slip to happen?
Yeah, I think, as we looked at the draft as a whole, this is how I evaluated the quarterbacks. There were 5 quarterbacks that I believe thought they were going to have a real chance to go in the first 40 picks, Cam Ward being the only slam dunk, as he was the Titans' first overall selection tonight. Beyond that, it was Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Shuck, and also Jalen Milroe. Milroe, who was one of 2 players in the green room here tonight who was not taken in the first round. The Saints pick at 40, Scott. But once the Steelers did not pick a quarterback at number 21, we were talking about 4 remaining quarterbacks with really only 3 teams that you felt like were strong bets to take a quarterback at some point early in the draft, them being the Giants, the Browns, and the Saints. I think we're at the point now, Scott, where it feels like one of these remaining 3 quarterbacks, Milroe and Shedeur Sanders and Tyler Shuck,